Hello and welcome back. The topic for today's class is modernity and postmodernity as a preparation for our study of sexual ethics, radical feminism, and later homosexuality. What do we call modernity? What do we understand by modernity? We all use this word in a loose sense, meaning something current of today's. However, the technical meaning of modernity has to do with the Enlightenment period, the 17th and 18th century European Enlightenment. What was the Enlightenment like? Well, it was the age of reason. That's how it is called sometimes, the age of reason. A few scientific discoveries created this fascination with science and with reason, which soon grew into this notion that through reason and through science, we could improve things, we could change the world. And with that, the idea was that we had to put aside religion and superstition and things that could not be scientifically, empirically checked and tested. That's the basic idea with the European Enlightenment. It's the age of reason. This is what you need to remember. Everything becomes rationalized. We want to understand everything rationally, not religiously. So if there is a bad crop, it's not about a matter of praying to this saint or that saint, or coming up with some metaphysical or theological explanation for that problem, but studying it rationally, see what happened, why the crop was bad, what problem affected the land, or whatever happened. That soon applies to the world of politics and every other area of human activity. So in politics, philosophers come up with the notion of the social contract. What is the social contract? Well, the idea that society hires a ruler. There are different versions of the social contract. We have Hobbes' version and John Locke's version and Rousseau's version. But the idea is that society hires a ruler for everyone's safety, to guarantee everyone's safety or well-being. And it's not that the ruler has the authority through God. It's the divine, the theory of divine origin of authority, which was a traditional theory in Western Europe. In other words, the king was not responsible to his or her subjects, but only to God. And still today, if you look at a British pound, you will see it says Elizabeth II, Regina, or the Regina, however you want to pronounce it, Queen in Latin, DG, Dei Gratia, which in Latin means by the grace of God. So she is the queen by the grace of God, not because you voted her to be the queen. So that's the divine origin of political power. That's the traditional theory. Okay? That is denied in the Enlightenment, and eventually that will lead to the French Revolution. So that's in the world of politics, but it happens pretty much in every other aspect of human life. Of course, we are talking about the elite. What we call the periodization of history is always a matter of abstraction, and it applies really only to the elite, to the intellectual elite. We talk about the Romantic and the Gothic, and then the Enlightenment and the Renaissance. Most people at those times just carried on with their lives, fully unaware of these changes in the intellectual elites. Okay? So we are talking about the minorities, the elites, but eventually those elites will lead society in one or the other direction. Now, some philosophers, particularly one German philosopher called Jürgen Habermas, that name is not important for you, I'm just mentioning it, but it's not something that's going to be in your test. Talk about the project of the Enlightenment. And so they identify that as modernity. Modernity equals the project of the Enlightenment. what was the project of the Enlightenment? Well, it's not difficult to guess. A world, a society ruled by reason, ruled by science, ruled by knowledge of the facts, not by beliefs, not by superstitions, not by metaphysics, not by reference to invisible supernatural forces, but by facts. Part of this project was, of course, we're going to find a solution to all of our problems, to all of our ills. We're going to be happier this way, and there will be a world at peace, because we will not be fighting over whether whether we go to heaven through our good works or if we are chosen to go to heaven. Who knows that? What is that? Where can we check those facts? For the Enlightenment thinker, that has been the reason for wars that shouldn't have happened. Now that we see everything rationally, when we have a disagreement, we will just take our calculators and see what is your thing and what is my thing, and we'll just come to a rational calculation, and there will be no need for a war. Everything will be rational. Now, with this idea of what the world could be and should be, a world at peace, no reason for fighting, because since we are rational people, again, we'll just resolve our disputes in a mathematical-like manner. Something else goes on, something else happens. In the previous world, the authority figure was the priest, because religion was all dominant. Now, with science and with reason being supreme, the authority figure is going to be the expert, more specifically the scientist. The expert, the scientist, is going to be the embodiment of this ideal of reason. So the authority and the power that was given before to the priest is now transferred, little by little, to the scientist, to the expert. This dazzlement with science, this idea that science is going to resolve all the problems, only grows bigger in the 19th century and even bigger in the 20th century. You know what I'm talking about? It's this idea that we found out the solution to some problem, to say one of the early scientific discoveries, so to say, was immunization, vaccination. They found that accidentally. It was practiced in the Middle East. And then they realized that by inoculating somehow a weakened form of the disease-causing agent, you actually prepare the body to fight the real infection. Well, this is science. Look, this is how nature works. Now we know it. Now we can protect. And this created the idea, the false idea that has been going on to our days, that the same as we discovered that, we will discover everything else. We'll find a solution for everything. As recently as the 1970s, the White House was launching the war on cancer with big money behind it, with the promise that within 5 years, I think it was 1974 or so, within 5 years, cancer will be something of the past. No more cancer. What a joke. After that war on cancer, the cancer rates were high, actually, for a number of decades. But there is this idea that, we will find it one day. We've found the solution to some little problems. That means we can find them for all. Okay? And of course, this increases the power of the scientists. In the 19th century, as a result of this fascination with science, we have the coming into existence of a different concept of science, something which we wouldn't call science today. Now we call them grand theories, such as Marxism and evolutionary theory and